Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to The Scope. And now, here are your hosts, Jared, Adam, and Shane.
Hey everybody, episode 178 of your Scope program. Yes, it's a big one. Whoa. Oh, boy, they got a little salty at the end there.
Yeah, too much cheering.
This week around, we've got Adam in studio. Don't you love it that we don't have those days anymore where we have to make up excuses for Adam not being here? He's always here.
What excuses were you making up?
You don't even want to know. Go back and listen to the shows. You'll find out.
I've never listened to a show.
One of these days he's not.
Polar bear rescuing was one.
Oh, okay.
One of these days he's going to be missing, and he's going to be missing for 3 shows. Then
Yeah, very strange.
it's going to happen.
That voice you're
The
listening
company that will bring it to you is AT&T.
The voice you're hearing is Jared.
That's me.
And then also master storyteller Shane Palmersheim here to...
Wow, really took that to heart, did you?
I did. I don't know who Keith's listening to, but
You.
I don't feel like it's me. No one's ever called me master storyteller before. Masterful.
I think he also liked the story when Adam told his colonoscopy story. So there.
Well, who doesn't love that? Have you had any recently, Adam?
Any stories or any colonoscopies?
Any things going up?
Any sort of invasive procedures
Yeah.
that you can talk about?
No.
No. All right.
Well, you need to have one so we can talk about it.
All right. Elective colonoscopies.
Sure.
Please, I want a colonoscopy.
Some sort of pulmonary examination, maybe. I don't know.
Mandy's dad had an angiogram, but I didn't. So
You didn't do one in solidarity.
no.
I'm going in with you, Dad.
Everyone.
When are you going to be able to call this guy Dad, by the
I would
way?
never call him dad. What
would you call him?
I
Sir?
don't get it. But
Is it a
call
sir?
him Bob.
Bob.
That's not even his name. I just love calling him Bob.
Bob. It's like, Mandy, he has not taken the time to get to know me. He's calling me Bob, and my name is Charlie.
All right.
It's Chuck,
It's Chuck.
not Charlie. I would never. That's disrespectful to call him.
Fair enough.
What's wrong with you?
Well,
Master storyteller.
It's all about the details. God damn
It
it.
really is. Guess what, guys? Today's show is part 2 of our interview with Ron BoogieMonster Gerber.
I'm not playing it this time.
He's not playing it. We're talking about this.
BoogieMonster Gerber.
Where do you think that name came from?
Well, we'll find out in the show.
Yeah.
We will find out.
He may have explained it the first time he was on the
Shit.
show in episode 92
I
as
think
well.
he did explain it, but
Yeah, we got into the whole history there, so.
Where do you think the name of the show came from?
he might have explained it. We'll find out.
Again.
Damn it. But I love it. Yeah, Ron is here to talk about the music of 1984, the music of the summer of 1984. It's a real awkward phrase to kind of get out, so I struggle with it, Jared.
The hot hits of summer
The hot
1984.
It's a lot of fun. Ron knows what he's talking about.
He knows a lot.
It's 84 outside and 84 in the year, and here are the hot hits for you.
I don't know why that's so funny.
Someday we're going to do some Shaner and the Ween bits, and it's going to be fun.
Shader and the Ween.
Yes.
All right, so yeah, Ron is here. He's going to talk 80s music with us again. The first part was just as good as the second part. I promise you that. We've also got Under the Scope, which means coming soon. We've got listener comments.
Yes!
I always ask that with a question because
We
I'm
do.
not sure.
We have a comment every episode this time around.
It's very, very exciting. So let's stop rambling on
Finally.
and let's get to Ron Gerber. So let's take a minute, take a break, be back, Dr. Ron. Boom.
When?
Now.
Attention fans of funny music. The first ever comedy music convention is here with performances by Carrie Dolby, Devo Spice, Garden Fresh, The Great Luke Ski, Tony Goldmark, Matt Griffo, Dan Hart, Insane Ian, Phil Johnson, Possible Oscar, Power Salad, Raymond and Scum, Sea Monkey, Tom Smith, and Worm Quartet. And presenting this year's special guest of honor, legendary radio personality Dr. Demento. Funkfest is taking place June 20th through 22nd at the Westin North Shore in Wheeling, Illinois, just outside Chicago. Tickets for the weekend are just $35 until March 31st. Join us for live concerts, panels, Dr. Demento's Festival of Dementia, Demented Karaoke, a Q&A with Meatmorph Studios, and the 4th Annual Logan Whitehurst Memorial Awards for Excellence in Comedy Music, hosted by Dr. Demento.
Hi, this is Dr. Demento. Come join me and my friends from the Fump at Fump Fest this June in Chicagoland.
Visit fumpfest.com to register for the event and reserve your hotel now. That's FUMPFEST.com.
Hey, Scopers, we are back with part 2 of our massive interview with Ron BoogieMonster Gerber. We're talking about the summer of 1984, more specifically the music of the summer of 1984. So listen in as Ron, Jared, Adam, and I really get into it. And yeah, there we go. To get back to what Ron was talking about, music aimed towards kids, youth culture, but not talking down to you. And then we kind of mentioned how back in the day you could have country, Barry Manilow, all these sort of your mom's music in there. Do you think that 84 was maybe a place where music shifted, where we can market to kids because they have disposable income, and we can shape music tastes around them and get more money?
That's a really good question, and
Great.
It was around 83, 84.
Good question.
It probably coincides with the release of Thriller, whether intentionally or not. Billie Jean opened the floodgates for MTV and the visual aspect of artists, and that brought in all the new wave artists, the Eurythmics, everybody who was doing great things over in England suddenly was here. And suddenly there was great product to play for the radio stations. They didn't have to play the Barry Manilow stuff that they didn't want to play but grudgingly played because there was nothing else there. And so the Barry Manilows and Dionne Warwicks and sort of the early 80s country artists didn't have to get played on top 40 stations anymore. And their careers went into the toilet as a result. The Barry Manilow songs that hit the charts faded very quickly.
Yeah.
Nobody had to play Neil Diamond anymore, which probably irritated Neil Diamond. But for top 40 fans, that was a good thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Interesting.
He gets all that stadium revenue now, so it's fine.
He does just fine.
He does all right.
I actually respect Neil Diamond because he's a pretty good songwriter.
Yeah.
But I don't need to hear it on as part of my daily routine.
Yeah, sure. So I did mention earlier movie music. So this isn't quite a thing anymore, but back in the 80s and even late 70s, early 80s, up for a number of years after that, music from movies oftentimes found itself on the top of the charts pretty regularly, actually. So summer 84 had a lot of movies that were released. We've got Footloose, Ghostbusters, Karate Kid, Purple Rain, Breakin'.
Oh yeah.
Streets of Fire came out that summer.
Yeah.
So, and all of those movies had hits on the radio. Footloose had like 5 hits, right? I mean,
it was
that
a bunch.
album is crazy how popular that was.
Yeah. It's
Starting
just,
with this song, right?
Yeah, this song is distracting. Thank you. Yeah, nobody needs to actually hear I'm Free is a much better song.
Yeah.
Also distracting. Yeah, let's
Just
see
wanna
if I
stop
can
and listen,
see
don't
if I
you?
can remember all these. Footloose and I'm Free from Kenny Loggins. Dancing in the Sheets by Shalimar.
Shalimar.
Let's Hear It for the Boy by Denise Williams. This is a great song. I no irony here. I just love this song. Almost Paradise by Mike Reno and Ann Wilson.
Yep.
But doesn't the scene from that this song plays in during the movie take every good thing about the song away?
This is the montage song
This is
right here.
This is one of the least
montage.
watchable scenes in a movie I've ever seen before.
Kevin Bacon is teaching
Sean
Sean
Penn's
Penn how
brother.
to dance,
Sean
and they're
Penn's
grooving
brother.
with their
Chris Penn.
Walkman
Yeah.
up and down, doing
It's, there were a lot of hits. The funny thing is, I got through all of it. It even had
He's shaking
it
his
even
head in
had the
disgust.
ballad because I know what's coming.
Yes.
It's a perfectly crafted album.
I managed to get through this without actually seeing the movie. I've never seen
You've never
Footloose.
well, guess what?
I
We're
didn't see
watching the movie after we're done
This is
recording.
actually
Part of the
intervention.
podcast. This I never saw Flashdance.
Yeah, Flashdance was another one that had a couple hits
Yeah.
off of that. So
It started with Saturday Night Fever.
yeah.
That sold like 10 million copies, and people realized there's money in them there grooves. And so Grease was put out by the RSO. You're enjoying this too much. Far too much.
I just like to bring the hook up.
You did it. Mission accomplished, sir.
You've never heard of the movie Times Square? That was supposed to be cut from the same cloth as Saturday Night Fever in Grease and the Sgt. Pepper's movie. It's also put together by Robert Stigwood.
Terrible.
But Times Square was supposed to be a new wavy equivalent of Saturday Night Fever with a phenomenal soundtrack. It's great, and you've never heard of it. It's something
Not
for you
so
to go
good.
look for.
I will. I'm gonna write that
Yeah,
down.
Times Square. I don't know how the movie is because I haven't seen the movies, but
There was a bit of a phase in, was it the early 2000s where soundtracks were big again? Like, they were like the biggest selling albums for whatever reason. Late 90s, early 2000s.
Because nothing else was selling.
Yeah.
because
So
I think
compilations
it's
are probably-
everything else had withered.
Yeah.
Well, and it was sort of the era of now that's what I call music too. It was sort of compilation music was a big seller. And so you'd have a soundtrack that had like 2 songs that were actually in the film and then a bunch of stuff that might have been inspired by it or stuff that ran over the credits.
I remember
but that was easy marketing, easy money at the time.
The Crow soundtrack,
Yep.
I think, had like more music inspired by the Crow. Like it wasn't anything
It
to
wasn't
do
even
with
in
it.
it. Just dark.
Or
I bought it.
that Anna Kendrick song
you do?
from Pitch Perfect a couple years ago. Like
No.
that was a radio hit for a year and a half.
Yeah.
It always goes back to Pitch Perfect with you.
And I always try to fit that in. So
Ron, one specific 80s movie music song I want to talk about has a long and storied history. Of course, that is Ray Parker Jr.'s Ghostbusters theme. You
Yep.
got that on there, Jared? So,
I don't remember the extra.
You'll
I
know
want that sound effect, Jared.
you'll
Hey.
know why that's there in a second.
This is titled Ghostbusters from Ghostbusters.
I would have never known.
Well, it removes the ambiguity.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So this song was a #1 hit this summer, but it was based on what song?
Based
Ron,
on-
tell us the story, the legal issues
You know,
with this
it's
song.
it's sad because the instructions given to Ray Parker Jr. were, "Hey, we need a song for Ghostbusters. Write a song that sounds like I Want a New Drug." Okay.
And he did.
And he did, right down to the. Can you play that opening sound effect again?
Sure.
I Want a New Drug starts just like that. And then the song
Yeah.
starts. So it sounds just like I Want a New Drug. Huey Lewis was not amused. And
Let's see if you're right. Oh, wow, it totally does.
yeah.
a little more crunch there, but
And
they
I
asked
think-
Huey Lewis to do it first, right? They asked
I-
Huey Lewis in
I-
the news to do the song, and he said, "I'm not interested in doing movie music." Which, funny, he does get interested a
Yeah.
year later
The
with
power
Back to
of
the
love,
Future,
yeah.
but yeah,
But at the time, yeah, so Ray Parker, write a song that sounds like I
Yep.
Want a New Drug. Okay. And he did. And he
Yep.
came up with something a little too close. Lawsuits ensued, and there was a settlement. And I don't know what's happened to this day. A lot of the settlement
They are
details
not-
aren't
they
Huey
are-
there.
Lewis owns Ray Parker Jr.'s children.
That
Sad
could
fact.
be.
and they are not allowed to talk about it.
No.
Huey Lewis was on a podcast. Was he on the Nerdist? I think.
I think so, yeah.
And they asked him about that, and he sort of dances around it and laughs. But I think part of the settlement is we cannot talk about.
Can't
the
talk
terms,
about. I
so-
mean, and I don't know about the terms, but a financial settlement is reached. That's how these things play out.
Yep.
And it's too bad. Ghostbusters came out. Ray Parker Jr. was a fairly well-known artist. He had had big hits with The Other Woman, some serious self-produced one-man band type stuff. He plays all the instruments. He was even his own engineer. So
Yeah.
he'd start the tape deck, run around into the studio, play his thing, run back out and hit stop. He did it all. He was really good at it. And so by the time Ghostbusters came out, like, oh, this is a song for the kids because
Yeah.
it's goofy and it was fun and it sounded great on the air. And everybody said, it sounds just like I Want a New Drug, which kind of dragged it through the mud a little bit. But it was big and radio loves it because how could you not like that thing? It's just the happiest song
Sure.
ever, which mission accomplished.
Did he ever do anything for Ghostbusters 2? Do you know anything about that? Because didn't Bobby Brown have
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
hit on that one?
He did.
I think so.
He had the theme song on.
Yeah.
for
There
two.
was like a Run DMC version of Ghostbusters, something silly like that.
Yeah,
I don't remember the specifics, but no Ray Parker Jr. on the second
Yeah,
one.
you would think that doing another song called Ghostbusters would be almost an impossible task. I
yeah.
mean, number one, it's such a cheesy song as it is. You know, it's this. How do you make a cool song about Ghostbusters?
What rhymes with Ghostbusters?
Yeah, nothing,
Is
you
what
know?
is that's how the song basically
I
got
think-
its structure because you couldn't rhyme it with anything.
I think Orange rhymes with it. That would be about it.
We had to wait until at the Addams Family sequel before we had another artist making a popular song based on the title of the movie that it was on the
You're
soundtrack
talking about
for.
the MC Hammer song.
Yes.
Yeah.
Addams Family Values. Yeah.
Nobody's favorite.
Adam says it like it's the greatest thing ever, doesn't he?
As a movie, it was better than the first one.
Adam's just trying to contribute, and all he knows is his era.
That's fine. We'll bring in the 90s a little
I'm
bit.
going to keep on shifting the conversation. You guys wait.
All right. So we're down to our final two questions. Number one, I've got a list of the number one songs of the summer. Ron, I'm going to list them off. You tell me.
Do you want like a letter grade?
Yeah, give me a letter grade.
Okay.
So I think this is chronological, but I'm not positive. So
Do you want to actually look at the actual charts?
Sure.
I have real charts
he's
here.
got real charts.
I thought, I strive for
Look at this
authenticity.
guy.
This is how here, I'll actually show you guys. This is how I archived the Billboard charts when I was a kid. I used to actually go to the New City Library, check out the copy of Billboard magazine, and photocopy the Hot 100, which I had to shrink down to fit it on one page.
Now, if you thought Ron wasn't legit, this just proves it right here.
Yeah.
I'm too legit.
Too legit. Yeah.
Too legit
It's
indeed.
analog format, the whole thing.
So this starts off in June. For New York kids, summer always started in July. It was after the July 4th. I should point out that summer camp always started after July 4th. So you either went for July or you went for August, or maybe you went for both months.
Did you just
My
get a short
parents wanted
summer
to get
then?
rid of you.
But school lasted up until late June. So
Really?
June was not part of summer for us New York kids.
Huh.
When did school start? Labor Day?
Labor Day.
Yeah, that's the same for me. I was till about June 20th.
Yeah,
Wow.
here it lets out on
Goddamn East
May
Coast
May
bias.
2nd. You're out of school.
We're done.
Yeah.
We can't get out of here fast. So the first song, Jared. Let's hear it for the boy, Denise Williams, Footloose soundtrack.
Yeah.
I give this a solid. Oh, this is a good way to do it. In case you don't know the songs we're talking about. Nice long intro, which I'll just talk over here. It's happy and cheery,
Yep.
and it's survived pretty well as just this innocent little song, and Denise Williams does a really nice job with it. I'd say good solid B+. It's just happy.
Yeah.
It's held up pretty well, even though it's 30 years old.
Next song, Jared.
Yes.
Actually, the next week here, according to this, she jumps up from number 2 off of her debut album, She's So Unusual, Cyndi Lauper's masterpiece, Time After Time.
You mean Cyndi Lauper?
Cyndi Lauper.
Not Lauper, it's Lauper. Even though she had a weird New York accent. This song has gotten much better with age.
Yeah. I think this is an A song. I really think this is...
This gets an A. I've been in cover bands that played this. 2 different cover bands that played this song, and it kills. It's a magnificent little pop song. Cyndi knocks it out of the park, and at the time it was obscured by her ridiculous image
Yeah.
and the outrageous red hair and
Yeah.
the thick New York accent.
When she
but-
popped up on MTV for Girls Just Want to Have Fun, that was a throwaway one-hit wonder built in when you first saw it.
Yeah, you
and
thought
then she turns around and hits this video, which, I mean, this video is a terrific video, too. It's a story of her leaving her boyfriend or whatever. We don't really know why, but a completely different side of her, and you kind of got the feeling that she might have a little staying power.
yeah, like, oh, there's real talent
Yeah.
here. And
And
Girls Just
what-
Want to Have Fun was completely throwaway.
What was the third single, though? Was it She Bop?
It was all through the night.
All through
Oh,
the
She
night?
Bop, yeah.
She
that's
Bop,
right.
which is her ode to masturbation, which very
Oh, okay.
female masturbation. It's strange.
Sure, why not? And then All Through the
Yeah.
Night, which was a sweet song written by Jules Shear. So she chose her material really,
Yeah.
really well. She's So Unusual, magnificent pop songs all squashed in there with an outrageous image
Yeah.
to help it sell records.
And look at her now. She's a Tony winner.
She's close to an EGOT.
She's very, very close, and she's super talented. I mean,
Yeah.
that's. Now here's another one. One of my favorites. I taped this off of WLOL, waiting for it to pop up. We're talking about Duran Duran's The Reflex.
So I'm waiting for the audio cue. Let's see which version you play. You play the 45. Good.
I played the one on this playlist.
Okay. Yeah. The album version is deadly boring.
Yeah,
It doesn't do this. All the hooks, like the flat flats,
yeah,
it's not there.
So would you say this is the pinnacle of Duran Duran's 80s
No.
80s hits, or
Far
was it
from it.
before that?
Oh, it was Rio.
Rio?
Without
Sure.
a doubt. Rio is a magnificent creation. Start to finish. Hungry Like the Wolf was terrific. Rio is amazing. Those bass lines are astounding. So by the time this came out in 84, it just sounded cluttered and confused. It was catchy. That chorus is pretty
Yeah.
catchy, but it was a kitchen sink mess production remixed by Nile Rodgers from Chic,
Sure.
which it was a big old hit. But to us kids, the gold, the good stuff was Rio. And this was sort of stuff that came out after
Yeah.
Rio. And they continued to have a bunch of hits, like Notorious was a terrific song from '86. But this was not as magical as some of the earlier stuff.
Duran Duran
I have
was
to,
hit. Oh,
I have
sorry,
to
go
give
ahead.
this a letter grade, don't
Yes,
I?
you do.
I'd say B- because there's really not much of a song here.
Yeah.
It's a big cluttered production and it sounds great on the air, but
Yeah, and I think this also was their first sort of pseudo concert video. Yeah, they're singing in front of a crowd. A big tidal wave comes out and washes over them in Disney animated fashion, I guess.
that sounds
So,
right.
Yeah, I love this song when I was a kid. But if you go back and look at Duran Duran's total work. This would be somewhere in the middle of their hits.
They've done better. They've done much
Yeah.
better. A View to a Kill, for example, springs to mind.
good stuff.
That's much. It's not as good as Rio, but it's great,
enough.
and it shows that they had a lot of talent. And the Reflex is just a throwaway track.
So the next on the list, on the Billboard's top of the charts, we've got a song we talked about earlier, Prince's "When Doves Cry."
It's A+. There's
A+.
I
Jared.
can't. There are a few songs that I hold in. There we go.
Jumping ahead a little
the Jared
Yeah.
jump cut.
I can't emphasize how great it was. It kept Dancing in the Dark out of number 1.
Yeah, I had Dancing in the Dark on my list, but it only went to number 2, Adam.
I'm on the Hot 100.
Yep.
It
And
was a
guess
big
what?
hit.
Springsteen has hated Prince ever since. Hated him.
That can't be right.
No, I'm just making him. All right, we heard this one, and we just talked about this song as well. Ray Parker Jr., Ghostbusters.
Maybe minus.
Yeah, I'd
he's
even go lower than that.
He's done much better.
What? I give this song a half a grade less because Danny DeVito was in this video.
Oh, yeah, we're C+ category. I have mad props for Brother Ray. I love Ray Parker Jr., but he's done better. But that just paid a lot of bills for him. That's a good thing.
And then
Maybe.
the last summer weekend, this is a little dicey, but I think it's worth noting. With her big comeback, we've got Tina Turner. What's love got to do with it? I'm curious to hear what you have to say about this song, Ron.
I love this song. And this song has gotten better and better with age. The production, I mean, you were only 4 when this came out. So I'm going to keep coming back to that.
I remember my mom singing it a lot and hating it.
I mean, the production
I'm hating it.
to listen, okay, that's a drum machine. And there's a lot of keyboards washing over it. But the vocal performance is terrific. And as an actual song, if you strip away all the instrumentation, just imagine her in a room singing this. This is a fantastic record. It's coming on the heels of her remake of Let's Stay Together, which was sort of a warm-up to see if she could actually be accepted by radio. And when that
Was that radio? Did that get radio play? Because I don't remember
It
that
was
at all.
just enough to say, oh, let's record a whole album. Yeah. And so she got Rupert Hine to produce. He produced The Fix and Howard Jones and Saga.
The dichotomy of the more seriousness of this song compared with the Ghostbusters song, both being summer songs, is very strange to me.
This was on its way up the charts
Okay.
over the course of the summer and finally peaked around Labor Day.
How old was Tina when this song? Which is she?
Probably 40.
40s?
I mean, she was old.
Yeah.
Didn't she win a Grammy for this?
I hope so.
I'm sure she
I
did.
think she was
I hope
40.
so.
Yeah.
Something
Too,
like she was 40 that night.
I sort of knew that Tina Turner was this singer, and she had a husband that was very bad.
Yeah.
And that's all that I knew really about Tina Turner. I couldn't hum anything. River Deep Mountain High, Nutbush, City Limits, anything from back in the old days that she did with Ike. And so I had heard Let's Stay Together, her remake of the Al Green song, on American Top 40. I didn't get a whole lot of airplay, but like, oh, I sort of know who this is. This is this woman who had this career back in the 60s. And then this came out, and this sort of wiped the slate clean. She could be 20 with really good vocal pipes, or she could be 40. It didn't matter. The fact that they put her prominently on the album cover and they showed her legs because she had great legs.
That's a big 80s hair.
Super hair.
very big 80s hair.
Deadly hair. If you touched it, you get stuck to it and you'd never escape.
But
Like Velcro.
She and Patti LaBelle were battling for the biggest hair.
there was some really big hair in the 80s, wasn't there?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It's a great record. It's held up really nicely. I still smile when I hear it, and I'll turn it up a little bit on the radio, and my wife doesn't understand.
No.
It's a great pop record. It's unpretentious, and it's produced by Rupert Hine and the guys who worked with Heaven 17, which is the British new wavy thing.
Did we get a grade on that?
Oh, should I grade that?
Yes. The panel says yes.
I'd probably say A- because
A-.
it's a really good record that I really like. And to give a sense of context at the time, I brought in the British equivalent of the Billboard charts, which are summarized here, just to give you an idea of what was going on in England while we here in America were doing our business. So
now, you have people read this as part of your book club, right?
It's a list
this would be a dense book. It's a list. That's like reading the phone book. Like, oh, I recognize that person. I recognize that person. But there's no usable information in here.
the Ron Gerber book club.
Jared's in a,
Read the Joel Whitburn books and you'll be fine.
it's a reference book club.
So, in no particular order, starting in May, like The Reflex from Duran Duran, Against All Odds, Hello by Lionel Richie, Automatic by the Pointer Sisters. These are songs that were big over here.
Oh, this would probably be a D song for me.
Is this the one where he makes the clay head, or she
He
makes
does,
the clay head
yes.
of Lionel
Yeah.
Richie that
Oh,
doesn't
wow.
really look much like Lionel?
The Butterhead.
Well,
Little known fact,
but
Jared and
she's-
I actually hold hands to Penny Lover.
I like the Lionel stuff, but some of it's a bit
Yeah.
thick for me. Wake Me Up Before You Go Go
Yeah.
by Wham, which would take a couple more months to
Yeah.
break here in the States.
I was a huge Wham fan.
That's,
For whatever reason, that
Me
song
too.
just was like, I loved it.
Loved it.
Exactly. And it
Couldn't get
sounded
enough.
so great on the air. It broke first in England because that's
Yeah.
where they're from. So no apologies for that stuff. Style Council was getting big over there. Here in the U.S., you might remember My Ever-Changing Moods. It was Paul Weller's band after the Jam. That's like Wings being Paul McCartney's band after the Beatles. Style Council was kind of an afterthought.
Tears for Fears reference that. And
Very good.
They do.
Kick out the style, bring back the Jam. That's
Yeah,
what that
Adam.
means.
All right.
All right. Frankie Goes to Hollywood.
Oh.
Frankie was really, really,
it.
really big and totally dominated the pop charts in the summer of '84.
Were
Two
they,
Tribes.
Were they even here? Were they popular here till like, wasn't it
They
85?
they were trying. Relax finally turned out to be a hit in early '85, I think.
Yeah.
So it came over, but it didn't come over in the. It was so big over there.
they were very
It was number one for
bombastic.
the entire summer of that. It was Two Tribes.
Yeah.
And Trevor Horn production. It kind of introduced the world. Well, I guess ABC introduced the world to the Trevor Horn production. But I'm a big fan. Someday we'll do an entire scope talking about Trevor Horn as a producer.
Let's do it.
Yeah, I'm
Let's
in.
start it up right after this.
Queen was still having hits over there in '84, and Queen had kind of gone by the wayside over here.
What was that? Radio Gaga?
No, this is before that. This It's a Hard Life in the summer of
I
'84.
don't even know that song.
Don't worry about it. I'm not a big fan of the
Out of my
the
head.
mid '80s Queen stuff.
Gotcha.
It was when the Annie, they did, a cover of the Annie song. It's a Hard Knock Life. All right.
Yeah, sure.
Where is it?
It
Nope.
is. Oh,
We can't have two crickets. We have to pay that cricket
Cricket royalty.
license. Yeah.
so
Yeah.
Echo and the Bunnymen were lurking on the pop charts. The Smiths probably weren't that far off.
And they were purely sort of fringy alternative here.
Yeah.
I mean, they're popular now, but back in the day,
No.
you wouldn't even have a place to hear them
The Smiths and the Cure and all that stuff.
here. I mean,
Oh, no.
you'd have to have hip friends. I remember having hip friends that like, oh, I have a Cure tape, and
College
it
Radio
always scared
wasn't
the hell
doing
out of
that?
me because it had this weird,
yet.
creepy, white-faced, black-haired, pointy, makeup guy.
Who's that guy?
They were like devil worshippers to me. That's what I thought that they were.
Yeah, the Cure.
Seriously, that's what they were to me.
It was weird.
The most innocent, soft-spoken.
I know. It's like you
worshipper
listen to it
ever.
now and it's just sad music with
Yeah,
a few happy songs
kinda
in there.
mopey.
Yeah.
No, it took a while for that stuff to seep in, and the Cure can play arenas now.
Yeah.
I guess. But
Maybe.
in the early '80s, back when their good stuff was being recorded, they couldn't sell anything. College radio hadn't really cemented as college radio back then. There were a station here and there that would play it. New York was lucky; we had WLIR, the station out of Long Island that I could barely pick up in the suburbs where I lived. If the weather was right, I could hear WLIR, and they played. Starting in around '82, they played all the cool British stuff, and to the point where other stations would try and imitate them. I remember WNEW-FM had a guy named Scott Muni with the graveliest voice ever.
I just hear all these references to New York radio, and I just think of the mentions on the Howard Stern
Yeah,
show.
Howard Stern talks
Yeah.
about these guys all the
Yeah.
time. So
Scott
it's like,
Muni.
I sort of have a understanding of what you're
reference, yeah.
talking
Scott
about. Yeah.
Muni, WNEW-FM, and they had a 1-hour specialty show called Things from England. Scott Muni introducing all these rock bands that because he's a rock guy, and here he is something new from the Thompson Twins.
Yeah.
Just lay your hands on me. and he'd play. He
He knows how to
introduced.
sell
Makes
it,
it
doesn't
sound
he?
so sexy.
He introduced the song Nellie the Elephant by the Toy Dolls.
I don't even know.
Oh, you gotta find Nellie the
All right,
Elephant.
that
Turns out
down.
it's a
Now
kid.
you got homework. Ha ha.
It's too much homework.
It's delightful, but I heard it on Things from England with Scott Muni in this gruff, ridiculous delivery.
Did that have any influence on your naming of your show?
No.
Crap in the past? No. Okay.
No,
Just
I didn't.
similar.
I didn't come up with that name, right?
No, I.
Yeah, I didn't even come up with the BoogieMonster part.
Really?
Jeez.
Yeah, I borrowed.
I'm
borrowed
just
liberally.
gonna hit stop now. I guess we're not gonna. what's
I'm
the
done.
point?
Wipe the tape clean. No, I freely pilfer and attribute. So, friend Dan Duperrin, he was the chief engineer at WRUR, my college radio station, comes up to me one day. You play all this old music all the time. That's all you play. Maybe you should just call your show Crap from the Past.
Done.
Dan, you're a genius. And I gave him a big hug. And 22 years later, I'm still using that name and telling this story and thanking Dan publicly every chance I get for giving me the name. The BoogieMonster thing came about through a really ridiculous thing that I did with my suite mates. We didn't have a dishwasher. You put your dishes in the sink, and we couldn't figure out whose turn it was to do the dishes because we wanted to rotate through. And eventually we came up with the dish list. So we put our name on the dish list with the date that we did the dishes. And then the dish list evolved into something bigger when we started insulting our suite mates in there. And eventually we started having this big, long, drawn-out story that we'd have chapter by chapter as our entries in the dish list.
Oh, my.
I mean, very elaborate stories. And so the plots would progress, and then they get turned over to the next person who would either run with it or demolish what you've done. And one of the insults was that Seth, my suite mate Seth, went as Seth BoogieMonster Maislin, the backup bassist for the all-white disco group White Chocolate. Well, I thought, BoogieMonster. I'll take that with me.
There it is.
And in 1992, when I started Crap from the Past, I just decided to call myself Ron BoogieMonster Gerber. Nobody else was using it at the time because it was just a one-off little thing.
I think you should play the CeeLo Green song, Boogie Monster.
I used that as the intro for episode 92 when
Did you?
Ron was previously on. Yes.
There we go.
Nice.
It's not
what else,
as good as your...
What else do you have on your list there, Shane?
Okay, we've got one final question. Jared is itching.
Is that the list, the rest of the top 100 or top number one list?
We're done.
whatever?
We've got it
Oh,
all.
Okay.
That's the interesting thing about 84, summer of 84. A lot of long-term number one hits. So, being a month at number one is not unusual.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's typical nowadays.
No.
I don't really look at the charts
No,
anymore.
things.
But
The charts have kind of imploded.
yeah,
They're not really, since the mid 90s, they haven't really meant anything.
You're still printing them out, though, right?
Well,
I bet.
I've gone all electronic now.
There we go. All right. So the final question is, Ron, how good was the summer of 84 in terms of music? Where does it stand historically? Is it something that we should have even dedicated an hour of scope to?
The funny thing is, probably not. Because
Wow.
Just leave
All
it
right.
at
Well,
Okay, done. Get out of here.
no, I have nothing but fond memories of it because I was almost 16.
Yeah.
And they were treating me well.
Yeah.
The world was treating me well when I was 15. Chasing after girls, buying as many records as I can, listening to cool stuff on the radio, being a camp counselor. A camp counselor. They paid me $200 for the whole summer. That's a good job. I got all the ice cream I could eat, basically. So for me, of course, it's near and dear. And I'll give it an A based on my own personal preference. But musically, it's actually a bit of a letdown from the summer of 83.
Yeah.
Although better than 85, 86, 87, and the stuff that would come after it.
Yeah.
So
You have, I think,
it's not,
your
it's
event
not
is
one
Prince,
for the
right?
ages. I love Prince.
Can I ask you if you think it's better than the summer that I was turning 16,
What year
which
would
was
we-
1996, when Spice Girls Wannabe was the number one for the entire summer. The Fugees did have Killing Me Softly that summer.
You say that like it's a bright spot.
Robbie Williams had Freedom.
I like Robbie Williams
Yeah,
a lot more than the Spice Girls and
Never mind. I know it's better because Bone Thugs had the Crossroads that year. So
Ron, will you
Seal the
will you
deal.
come back to do
Down
a
the
summer of
Gerber.
96 for Adam?
I would have to research the
Yeah.
summer of 96 because by 96 I'd pretty much given up.
Yeah.
Like, oh, this world is killing me because it's a generational thing.
Yeah.
You like the music you hear first. And my palette was pretty much, it was a blank slate in 84, ready and willing to be filled with whatever was on the airwaves.
Well, in 2 years, we'll do the summer of 96.
96.
It'll be a proper anniversary. 30 years.
Start researching now, Ron.
20 years.
Okay, I'm not going to be as glowing as I was back then.
it's fair.
Well, I mean, with Adam's fantastic personality, he'll totally overshadow
Let's
anything.
not do
That's
the
fine.
summer of 96. That seems like a really bad summer.
I'm curious. Because
Well,
96 was
Spice
a big...
Girls and Fugees.
Shane and I were big into alternative music at the time.
Oh, yeah.
But none of them are on here.
Jared and I were working at Toys R Us at the time
They,
together.
they had their own charts.
Well,
Oh, okay.
yeah, the,
Oh, wait, but Jamiroquai did have Virtual Insanity. on
that
top
is a
40.
great song. That redeems everything else.
Done.
There you go.
Ron has said it.
Okay,
Show done.
that gets an A.
All right. So
All
there we
focus
go.
lost.
Summer of 84, rose-colored glasses, grade A.
Eh.
Realistically,
Realistically, B plus. It was the time that the industry caught up with visuals
yes.
and CDs became a presence in the world. for audio files and would kick in a little bit later on. But I saw the future. The future is
Mini disc.
I had a mini disc.
Digital compact cassette from Philips.
I have one of those too. Wow. Those are useless formats. Go look them up. They're on the internet.
Crap technology from the past.
It was.
You got a new spin-off show, Ron.
The thing, the radio station owed me some money, and instead of actually paying me, they gave me a Philips DCC cassette deck. Like, oh my God. The nice part is that it turned out to be the best sounding playback deck I've ever heard.
Neat.
It beat the expensive Nakamichi deck that they had at the radio station, the head. And later, oddly enough, I worked at Seagate, and I met the guy who actually designed the analog tape heads for that particular deck. And I got to thank him. And it's like, you did a great job on those heads. And he was kind of pleased. It was a guy named Tom.
There we go.
Well, that'll please our digital compact cassette fans in the audience.
There are no DCs. You can have my deck.
We
if you
barely
want.
have an audience, so I mean, it all works out anyway.
So did I hit everything basically that was on the list there?
You hit everything and then some.
1984 for me was like one of the first years where I was really paying attention to music. So
Yeah.
How old?
I have a fondness.
guess a legit question. How old were you in the summer of '84?
I would have been 10, almost 11. I was born in 73. So
Yeah, so that's old enough to
Yep.
know what was going on
Yep.
and being able to sort of soak it in.
Ghostbusters was a big deal for me. Just a lot of these songs I remember fondly from my youth. So
And this show, Ron, will be coming out essentially on my 40th birthday. So, I was
pretty much.
I
Couple
was
days
10
after.
years old, and for me, that was like I was all in for everything. Any sort of culture, music, pop culture, that was it. I bought in 100% that year. So
So since you guys were of the right age, what were you listening to music on? Did you have a little portable boombox?
I had a
at the time?
boombox that we bought at JCPenney.
I was pretty much radio still.
And
I
radio.
don't think I had my first boombox yet until a couple years later. Whenever Like a Virgin came out, because that was one of my
It was
first
late
albums.
'84.
Yeah.
Okay, so it would have been probably for my birthday. I would guess I probably got my boombox.
Did you have proper stereo with actual receiver and components, or even if it's a little cheapy?
Well, I mean, I had a dad who had that stuff, so I heard
Okay.
some stuff that
Ditto.
way. My
guys
mom
weren't
didn't have
allowed?
any. My parents were divorced at the time, so my mom
Yeah.
didn't have any of that. And my boombox actually only had one speaker on it. for whatever
That's
reason.
right. I had one of those.
So
as
everything
well.
was mono, and yeah.
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 Yeah, it's same thing with me. My dad was a bit into electronics like I am today, so he had a really cool record player. He actually had a full stereo component system where you'd put the record in like in a door, and then it would play like this.
Crazy.
Well, you had a Mitsubishi vertical linear tracking
Yep.
turntable. I had one of those.
He got that at
that thing.
There was a high-end electronics store that was in the malls here in Minnesota, and I cannot remember what it was called, but I remember going there, and everyone was in suits and ties, and he bought this thing, and it was a very big deal.
Yeah,
So-
you
It
closed the
wasn't
door.
Audio King, was it? No, it was probably.
I don't think it was Audio King.
No.
It was another one that
Okay.
was similar to that.
That's
but
not around anymore.
Not around anymore.
I found out that those things do not react well when you knock them off the counter, and I basically destroyed
Most
it.
things don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, I inherited that from a coworker. I didn't have one at the time.
It-
At the time in '84, I just had a junky
Yeah.
whatever I could buy, but it was components. It was terrible.
My guess is that particular piece of electronic equipment found its way into many very cheap 80s sci-fi movies because it just looked like something that you would see
Sure.
in the background where someone would go up to it and pretend like they're touching it,
Yeah, you put the record in vertically and then close the door,
Yep.
and then it would spin vertically. It was altogether very, very, very
Yeah.
strange, but so cool, and it really didn't sound that.
And I
good.
would carry it around like it was a Discman, so it was very, very heavy on my belt.
Crazy.
Oh, the Walkman. We didn't talk of anything about the Walkman.
We'll have to say-
When was Sony Walkman introduced?
I looked this up. I think it was
I wanna say
81.
81, 82, something like that.
It came out in Japan a year earlier than it did here.
Okay.
I think all that needs to be said about that is just can be said by watching the Kids React to video
Yes.
of kids playing with a Walkman and not understanding what's going on or how to do anything with it.
It's so, I find that endearing, but kind of sad.
Yeah.
Yeah, all that stuff I realize is gone. The sad part to me is that I'm not nostalgic.
Let's end it on a moment of sadness, Ron. Go
I'm
ahead.
that's the best way to get out of these things. I'm nostalgic not for how things were at the time. Like, I loved being 15 with no responsibilities.
Yep.
The fact that I would be able to drive soon and that girls might be interested in me soon. All that was very exciting.
Yeah.
I miss that. I miss record stores going, we must have talked about this. I miss the idea of record stores and clerks who knew me and like, oh, I got this Nick Kershaw 12-inch from Holland that you're going to want for the B-side.
Yeah.
Oh, it's live. How wonderful. And I'd plunk down my $3.99 for the 12-inch single. I love that particular how circumstances were to me. I don't miss nostalgia doesn't seem to have its impact. Like, oh, wasn't that song great? That takes me right back. Everything we've talked about here, I've analyzed in so much detail over the years that they have no sentimental.
The sheen
pull.
of nostalgia is gone.
The Terminator of pop music. It's just, everything's ones and zeros.
They've become utilitarian.
Yeah.
I know the tempos and the beats per minute of all of these songs. Shall I write them down for you?
No,
you can
that's
check
all right.
them
That's all
afterwards.
Well, maybe we can do some beat juggling later on. You want to get those tempos down.
People know I'm a huge beat juggler.
Here, I'm going to show off. You can do your homework. So let's hear it for the boy. It's about 123. Time after time is about 130. The Reflex, the 45 version, starts off at 125 and speeds up to 130. That was a deliberate choice on the part of the producer who actually did this with the tempo knob. Dancing in the Dark is 147, 148. Wow. When Doves Cry is 126. Ghostbusters is 115. What's Love Got to Do with It is 98. I'm Ron BoogieMonster Gerber.
Ron, you have said a mouthful. You've said it all, sir.
And I'm sure listeners will actually check these with the little counters and the stopwatches.
No doubt.
Yep.
Very meticulous listeners. Well, Ron, you're a master at your craft. You're a master at popular music.
Thank you.
It's... I have satellite radio, and I listen to a lot of different stations. A program like yours would be perfect on something like that. So let's make that happen.
Yeah. If you know people, just call them.
Yep, I'll give them a call.
Some blog post called me like my show, Crap from the Past, the best radio show in America.
Yeah.
Wow.
I didn't put those words together as a sentence, but I like the sound of that. And I haven't mentioned that yet on Crap from the Past, but I may start referring to it as the best radio show in America.
You heard it here first. We need to get Ron on a rocket into space on a satellite and broadcasting to America.
Yep,
That's how it works.
With a helium tank.
That's how it works.
That's all I need.
The DJs are in space, right?
Yeah, that's how satellite radio works.
All right.
Got it right.
You can catch Ron on the internet. You can catch him if you're local. You can catch him on KFAI every Friday night.
Friday night from 10:30 to midnight on KFAI.
And what's your website URL?
That's crapfromthepast.com.
There you go.
Just Google Crap from the Past. You'll be fine.
I'm going to put you on the spot right now, Ron. Can we come and sit in on a show and watch you do a show?
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, hell yeah.
Okay, I'm going to hold you to that.
That's
and I'll wear clothes. That is a
You don't
Shane Palmer's, I
have
promise.
busy Friday nights?
Me? Anything to get away from the kid, that's what I'm saying. So great.
Yeah. You guys are welcome to come down.
Awesome.
We have you have more gadgets here. It's sort of a more cluttered, intimate, comfy look.
We love
And
it.
I've
actually been to the
really
KFAI studios once years ago.
We used to be really proud of them. In 2000, we got these beautiful studios with the hardwood floors, and everything looked really impressive. We used to say, this mixing board, this is the same mixing board they have at Z100 in New York. Z100 no longer has that board. It's not made anymore, and it doesn't really work anymore.
But you still have it.
We still have it. Our hardwood floors are a little on the scuffed side. It's looking a little rough around the edges. So we will be doing a capital campaign to raise funds to replace all this stuff, but that hasn't happened yet. So you're welcome to come on down.
All right.
We have microphones and headphones, and that's all you guys really need.
Terrific. We'll listen in. Well, thank you very much. Like we said, Ron, you can catch him at Crap from the Past, crapfromthepast.com. He's got a book. He knows everything. His website has a lot of hidden gems. If you dig in, you're going to find little bits of pop culture, pop music knowledge that he sometimes talks about on his show. Yeah. It's a cool website, so check that out as well. Ron, thank you. Please come back anytime. We'll make sure it's not 100 shows from now.
Thanks for having me again. This was a pleasure.
So let's take a quick break, and we'll be back with more Scope right after this.
Ladies and gentlemen, I give you the Scope. Under the Scope.
I like it. Sounds like he's drunk.
I've never.
Tony.
All right, we are back with the Scope, and I think we owe it to ourselves to bestow upon our listeners coming soon.
Bestow. We are the only ones who have access to these release schedules. So
nobody knows it.
Yeah, right.
We go deep to our deep sources.
Deep.
Power 9. Pop, the chucker. Adam?
Yeah.
What's coming soon?
All right, so we've got some music coming out this week. New album from Lana Del Rey.
Ah, yes.
Do you remember last year at this time or 2 years ago when her album came out and she was like a laughingstock?
Yes.
Yeah.
And now, I don't know what happened, but now
she was
people...
dating Axl Rose.
Was that a thing?
Yeah, for a little bit, yeah.
Now
And-
she's sort of respectable.
I don't get it.
She's not really that respectable.
Didn't she perform at Kim Ye's wedding?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Some
for
say
free.
some say she was
free.
paid. She says it was free.
Does it matter really? I
Yeah.
mean, why is this
Why
something we're
wouldn't
discussing?
she be paid? Don't you pay people to sing at weddings?
It's not as if Kanye West or Kim Kardashian are some sort of third world dictator.
Yeah.
Where she needs to justify being paid.
Yeah.
Like, okay, it's a gig. You got paid. Who cares?
So anyway, she has an album coming out. The title is Ultraviolence, which I think is
Ultra violence?
yeah, violence.
clever.
Violence.
That's like from, what is that? Clockwork Orange. They talk about the ultraviolence.
Yeah.
I'm sure she knows all about Clockwork Orange.
Right.
Okay.
Dead Mouse has an album coming out.
It's Dead Mouse 5.
Dead Mouse 5. And the name of the album is a programming, what would you call it? Not syntax. It's while 1 is equals less than 2.
It's a loop.
Loop?
Yeah.
While then.
Have you ever played the game Goat Simulator?
Yeah.
They have they just released like a new map and
I
it's
saw that.
got the dead mouse in it. You can take his head and then you're called Dead Goat with the 7.
It's a weird
God,
game.
I'm getting a headache.
It's a weird game. It's not really
Giving
a game.
me a head. What is going on here?
All right.
It's a video game called Goat Simulator. You run around like Tony Hawk doing tricks and shit.
Nope.
No.
Jeez.
Goat.
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 It's the greatest of all time.
Yeah.
It's the goat.
I'm gonna itch my head.
J-Lo has an album coming out.
Nope.
There you go.
Thank you.
And all right, well, how about this? Linkin Park has another album coming out.
In unison, Jared. 1, 2, 3.
Yep.
Nope.
Maybe.
Nope.
Love that's when
That's going to be your focus. The Linkin Park hour.
When Ron asked me what music I listened to, I should have shouted out immediately. Linkin Park. Just the best.
And Ron quietly cries.
Movies, we've got Jersey Boys coming out. I forgot they
Directed
were
by-
even doing that. I don't know.
Clint Eastwood, 84-year-old Clint Eastwood.
Talking to a chair, Clint Eastwood.
Yep.
So the kids will come out in droves.
a big one.
This was the one I said I will not go near. at
What if
all.
we got a sneak preview?
I'd probably see it still. Maybe we'll see. We'll see how it fits in the schedule.
You are so malleable.
I'll see a free movie. I'm a firm believer.
What's your
that we-
time worth?
I don't, but
Yeah,
I'm
what
a
is your-
firm believer that we shouldn't just see the movies that we want to see when we're reviewing stuff. I feel like there's you need to have a sort of critical integrity in that.
That's
What
good.
if they're all bad, though?
Well, then it wears you down after the
Yeah.
fact, and then
It did wear us down in the wintertime.
And there were definitely some films over the winter we didn't see because who's got the time?
Think Like a Man 2, also coming out this week.
That's something we should all see to learn something. Because none of us do
How to
that.
think like a man.
Yeah.
But it's TOO. So like also.
Like also. Gotcha.
I don't understand.
So if I'm also thinking like a man, what else was I doing?
Right.
Was I thinking like a woman?
I guess that's the implication.
Okay.
Maybe it's about teaching women to think like a man.
Speaking of women, I saw earlier today
A woman?
what I assumed to be a mama squirrel and her baby squirrel cavorting around the tree.
Misogynist.
Wow.
It was cute because the little squirrel was smaller.
He always assumes it's a woman.
Well, no, the big one was the mommy, I'm assuming, and the small one was the baby.
What if it was just the dad teaching the little baby things?
Maybe,
Squirrel
but they
life?
were definitely familial because they weren't fighting. And yet the squirrels who aren't familial, they'll fight each other. These were not fighting.
Gotcha.
The little one was following closely after the mother.
DVD and Blu-ray. We've got the Lego Movie coming out.
Good movie.
And I'm interested to see that one.
You haven't seen it?
No, I still haven't.
Jeez.
Video games. I don't get passes for every movie.
We
I don't
paid
get-
We
for that
paid
one.
for that one.
Yeah.
Oh,
We
I don't
went to the
have
theater.
money either. I did buy a new fence.
Jeez. We also didn't see it in those crazy lounger chairs that you will only see movies in exclusively.
Also, wait, what movie did? Oh yeah, X-Men. I saw it at St. Louis Park.
I've got a new band name for you.
All right.
Fences Ruin Finances.
Video games. We've got.
That's going in the show.
That's
right
fine.
up, you jerk
Hey,
face.
you know what? You do whatever you want to do.
I will. I'm doing it.
Video games. We've got How to Train Your Dragon 2
Never.
on last gen consoles only.
Oh boy.
EA Sports
So the
UFC.
movie's great, game not so much.
Probably.
Probably.
EA Sports
Probably.
UFC. Next gen consoles only.
Mhm.
Now,
I think it's pronounced ufk.
Jared's correct.
Okay. Sorry.
It's like a Norwegian thing.
Yeah. At one point,
You
do we
build
stop
Viking
saying
boats.
last gen, next gen, current gen? When should we make that break?
Maybe the end of the summer.
End of
After.
the
How
summer.
about after?
After year one.
Year one.
Yep.
After year one, it's no longer next gen. It's now current gen.
I just realized we left off an important news piece. Good thing we can go back and re-talk about that later. And a motorcycle game.
There's no news, is
also.
what he says.
Except for all the news he now remembers that he wants to talk about.
I mean, this is turning into like X-Men. You know, we're going back in time.
Really?
Quick,
Who would be the Wolverine of our
Can you
group?
do Kitty? Can you do Professor X talking to Kitty, telling us to go back in time?
Go back and Tim.
Kitty, we've got to send someone back in time.
Well, when did
Whoa. James Bond. James Bond is
We've got
as
to change
Professor.
the
when did
past.
Sean Connery become Professor X?
I don't know. Scottish Professor X. I don't know.
I mean, everyone agrees Sean Connery would have been a much better Professor X than
He wouldn't have been
Patrick.
bad.
I wouldn't have had to wear that bad toupee.
Exactly. One more thing though to
I
talk
am not
about.
a master voice actor.
Sometimes
Sorry.
you are, not this time.
Well, not only when I'm doing Cloverfield Monster.
You're very.
Speaking of which, there was a video that I saw this weekend that was somebody had gone and stabilized the entire film of Cloverfield.
Really?
It's really weird. It's unwatchable in its that form as well, but I don't know. It's kind of an interesting experiment.
I liked
They posted the whole
Cloverfield.
thing online.
Me too.
I have yet to go back and see it again. I remember I liked it.
What's his face? That long-haired hippie from Silicon Valley.
Martin Starr?
No. The one,
Oh, what?
you know, the one that has 10% of
Yeah,
Pied
yeah,
Piper. He runs the camera.
T.J. Miller?
And-
T.J. Miller.
yeah. And he's only in the movie. You can hear him all the time, but he's in the movie at the very end. That's what
Interesting.
Carrie told me.
We should have
And
a
yet,
Cloverfield party.
Cloverfield Party, right after we do Hit It or Miss It.
Not this time, Shane. I can't give it to you every week.
But did you do it 2 weeks ago? That's the question.
All right, so this time around, it is Master Storyteller Shane.
Wow.
I can
You
barely
gonna get a plaque made?
I am in it. I am it, but I have a very hard time saying it. This time I'm doing a Hit It.
What?
It's a movie that Jared and I reviewed this winter. I'm talking about the Grand Budapest Hotel.
Yes.
Wes Anderson's latest film.
Get it.
Jared, I always like to ask you who starred in it. Ray Fiennes.
Ray Fiennes.
Tilda Swinton.
People.
Jude Law.
Edward Norton was
Bill
in it.
Murray, probably.
Bill
right?
Murray.
Tony
Hawk. was
Tony
in it.
Shalhoub.
Tony Shalhoub was in it. Tony Randall
Jason
was in it.
Schwartzman had a bit.
He did. So this story takes place in a sort of a fictional land in Europe somewhere, telling the story of a terrific hotel that's kind of in between World War I and World War II. I don't even know what's going on, but it's a story of a bell.
Yeah, it's like 1930s era.
A hotel manager and his bellhop, and sort of the all the stories that go around it. I'm not going to get into it because we reviewed it so perfectly.
Yeah,
the
go
last
check out
time.
that review if you want to know.
But it was a terrific movie.
It's my favorite Wes Anderson movie in
Really?
3 or 4. I did
In
not
3 or
like
4.
Moonrise Kingdom as much as a lot of other people did.
Okay.
Yeah, I like this better than Moonrise Kingdom.
I always like to judge the true Wes Anderson fan on how they feel about the Darjeeling Limited.
I like that movie.
Adam?
I like it more than The Life Aquatic, but they're still at lower,
I agree.
at the
Okay.
bottom
Adam, you're good.
of my list.
I agree with
You
that.
passed the test.
I agree with what everybody says. But check this movie out. The Grand Budapest Hotel. It's on DVD. It's on Blu-ray.
Is it on demand?
It's probably on demand.
I only buy on demand.
It's out there.
I don't buy it.
So check that out.
Sounded weird.
That was very great. All right,
Accidentally
Jared.
hit them both together.
Okay,
I
it's-
didn't want to do that, but I did.
It's time for listener comments. Go ahead.
This time we have a comment from Cyrus in Albuquerque. Haven't heard from him in a while, but he
Cyrus.
calls in with some kind comments for us. Here we
Master
go.
Storyteller, go.
Hey, Scope Show. This is Cyrus from Albuquerque, New Mexico. I'm just trying to get in on the Lipsky Comment Hour. And a couple episodes ago, you guys put out the call for favorite moments and memories. So I thought I'd just tell you guys how I found the show. I first started listening around episode 62. I think that was after the Metro Buzz Trivia Challenge, where Jared and Shane cleaned house pretty much.
Jimmy Carter,
I was compelled
bitches.
to listen to all the old episodes. I've pretty much been listening ever since then. So
I wish
it's
everyone
like
else could
6
say
years
the
now,
same.
probably something like that. Some of my favorite moments were the Would You Rather segments. Those are pretty good.
Bring it back,
the
Shane.
stuff with
Writing
Would
it
you
down.
rather have continual farting or continual diarrhea. Those are pretty funny. I don't know why I find that funny.
Because it's funny.
Also, Adam's colonoscopy recollection. That was some good stuff. You guys made that pretty good. While you guys have made me laugh over the years, you've also helped kind of keep me informed on the sort of corner of pop culture that I really care about.
Thank you.
So I appreciate that. And also lots of the cool bands that you used to play with, like the PodSafe tracks. Those are awesome.
That's
I
all me,
realize that
baby.
doesn't really fit in with the format
Everyone
of the
gets
show
some
anymore,
kudos.
but that was cool. So if anyone
He
hasn't
is a
heard any of
fan.
the old episodes, I recommend that you go and check those out. That's some good stuff. And I think I can speak on behalf of all the fans in saying thanks for the continual hard work to keep this thing going. It's pretty good. I can't wait to see what is in store for the future. As for now, that is all. Goodbye, and thank you guys. Keep it up. Take care.
I think we can all agree that pop culture is way more important and entertaining than colon health.
Absolutely.
Sure.
It's funny that Audrey and I were playing, she wanted to play Would You Rather in the car. She just like,
Yeah.
Dad, let's play this game. And I'm like, okay. And so I was I was trying to gross her out as much as I could without being inappropriate. And I saw the voicemail from Cyrus. So I asked Audrey, would you rather have diarrhea straight for like 12 hours or would you rather fart from the front for a week?
Fart from the front.
What does that mean?
I don't know what it means, but that totally unnerved her. She's like, I don't know, Dad, but I don't want to be sitting on the toilet for that long. But what does that even mean, Dad? Farting from the front. Like, I don't know what it means, but that's what you're doing.
Wow. As I have a couple of observations from the voicemail.
Go ahead.
Number 2, I'm curious if...
He skips right to number 2.
I'm curious if Cyrus is originally from Albuquerque or if he's from parts more northern, because I hear when he says a boot or a boat, it sounds very Canadian or northern Minnesotan, maybe? I'm just wondering if you're from...
That's just how Cyrus the virus be, man.
All right.
Jared's accusing him of being a transplant.
That's what I'm just curious. That's all.
Okay.
Otherwise, the first one was I'm thankful that you called in with your moments.
He actually remembers more about the show than I do.
Yeah.
It's amazing every time, these guys.
I think that podcast trivia challenge we did was quite a boom. I just wish we had kept most of the audience that joined us, but we seem to have shed a few here and there. But
I just think people get older. That's what happens. Yeah. We can do that trivia challenge again.
Not us. We don't get older.
We don't.
The same idiots that like fart and poop jokes.
Yeah, farting from the front.
People just run out of time. Keith talked about it in his first voicemail from episode 176.
Yes.
How he he's dropped all his podcasts except for us. So
people get older.
People just run out of time. I don't know.
Well, we're trying desperately to make shorter shows, and it's paying off in spades.
Yeah. Sure is. Sure is working out.
All right,
the entire table vibrates over there. What's going on?
We're laughing.
So if you have any choice moments over the last 8 years that you still have not told us about, maybe you have suggestions on segments you would like to see return, call us 612-21-SCOPE. That's 612-217-2673. Email us, comments@thescopeshow.com. Otherwise, you can tweet, you can face, you can tumb.
You can tumb.
Yeah.
All those links.
Take some tums while you're listening to the podcast.
All those links are at the website at thescopeshow.com, along with a link to our YouTube channel where you might be watching us right now.
Please do.
YouTube.com/thescopeshow. And if you like what we do and you want to throw a little cash our way on a regular basis, you can go to patreon.com/thescopeshow. Sign up to be a patron. Pledge $1 an episode. Monthly cap. Cancel anytime. Feel good about being a patron of the arts.
And by cancel anytime, we mean never cancel.
Never.
Just forget about it. It's $1, an episode. You don't need to remember that.
Yeah.
Let it go.
And if you don't like the Patreon model, you can always donate via PayPal. We have that link on the website as well. Thescopeshow.com. Back to you, Shane.
Adam also accepts dick pic as currency.
Yep.
One of those new cryptocurrencies?
Yeah. Crypto.
Yeah. It's Doge dick pic.
All right, guys, I want to thank Ron Gerber for coming into the studio.
Good times.
Again, he is a genius of pop music. He knows his stuff.
You two could just talk for hours.
I could hang out with that guy all day long.
Yeah.
He knows his stuff. And he knows his stuff all the way up to about, really, he knows it up to about 1990, 91. So,
so when we do the 96 challenge, it's going to have some...
It's going to be tough. But
we
can have him come back and do any year. We could have him do like 89 would be a fascinating year.
It would be.
So we'll think about that.
89 would see me transitioning from an entirely hip-hop diet over to some hair bands as well.
There we go.
So that would be an interesting time.
And Adam might even remember 1989 as music. So
I had done a lot of drugs then.
Okay.
So,
well, 9-year-olds often do that. Yep. So for Ron, for Adam, for Jared, for Shane, that's me, Master Storyteller. Thanks for listening. We'll be back in a couple weeks with more Scope. Thanks for listening, guys. Bye-bye.
Ladies and gentlemen, we find ourselves once again at the end. I hope you've enjoyed our time together. I know I have. Fear not, Scope faithful. Days shall pass as if they were but a moment, and Jared, Adam, and Shane will return with another thrilling episode. Until then, send your comments to comments@thescopeshow.com or leave a voicemail message by dialing
612-21 21-SCOPE. That's 612-217-2673.
Thanks for listening, faithful fans. This is Tony Partington saying farewell. Tune in next time to another terrific edition of The Scope.